My understanding of sublime is about the incomprehensibility of nature. My methodology towards sublime is archival, which is to design with an archaeological attitude towards the nature, something that's not meant to be interwinged, but to be framed.
But when I go back to your whole presentation, I go to one sentence: stone being transferred into light. That's my favorite sentence of your presentation.
The contrast between the rough and the smooth, the contrast between the rational and the irrational, contrast between nature and human beings. You raised the question, which I find really interesting, is can we create both sides of that and still create a sublime experience? That sublime moment is that the roughness is natural in the stone, and then the carve is the human being. So there's something in that resonance between what is there and what you've done that I think one kind of has to have to make it actually be sublime.
In my work, I try to imagine architecture as a receiver of light and color, and using architecture as a device to understand what sublime might mean to me. In this space, the geometries and surfaces and colors start to dissolve, and the sublime held within these moments start to reveal itself slowly, making us more aware of our place in the cosmos.
The sublime is something absent, and there's something that connects to this notion of color as dissolving. That really gets to the question of sublime.
The kind of softness of the form on the right and the relative hardness and distinctiveness of the upper green form, that play between the kind of haze. I mean, it's almost like a kind of dreamlike still life, that blur between a waking state and a sleeping state.
My research on the sublime started with a very kind of simple look into the etymology of the word sub and lemon. Sub meaning below or under, and lemon meaning boundary or threshold. The Hudson River being the ultimate threshold, the kind of this natural body of water that's constantly shifting and moving and changing. It became this beautiful gesture towards the river, towards the landscape, and this kind of like multi-layered experience to move either above or below the river.
The understanding of the sublime does have this asymptotic quality in that you can get closer to something, but you never kind of reach, complete understanding. And it's maybe that lack of fulfillment, lack of resolve, again, is what creates the sense of the sublime in general.
As an observer, I cannot really tell where one thing stops and the next one begins in the painting. I mean, that there's a kind of undecidability of outline. In these images, what we perceive is, in a way, the exact opposite. It does stand for a kind of standalone, almost sculptural claim that cuts itself out into the landscape as distinct from the landscape.
I began questioning ideas of sublimity through what was already on the site. At the Hudson River Valley, it was already very beautiful in itself. I just wanted to reveal things that were hidden. I wanted to kind of play into how that river could act as a cloud glass and see how refractions or obscured light could carve out different spaces.
But there's nothing more wonderful than going to a work that is different every time you go. The sublime is not something that you can schedule. It kind of happens, or it doesn't. Right. And so this is something that engages the caprice of nature too. You might see the rainbow and you might miss it.
Like a Claude glass mirror, I think I can imagine that the experience of it would change the way people think and see the river itself and the landscape, and it will create just such a meaningful, unique experience in that way to encounter that, and there's a dynamism to it. It's so related to place, and it's going to, like some of the other projects that I think the strength, slow us down and have us being in the space in time and place.
My project is a poesis of 7 rocks that I found here in the grounds of Rhinebeck, New York. My fascination with the ephemera of rock stemmed from looking at 2015 images from the Rosetta space probe of the comet Churyumov-Gerasimenko as it was floating through space in the moments that it was just eclipsing over the sun. And I was inspired by the sublime qualities of weightlessness, light, and material in these photographs. My project searches for the sublime in a similar way through 6 geometric intersections of rock, wood veneer, sunlight, and a peripheral frame made of paper.
The relationship between light, which is coming horizontally, the fall, which is breaking through the roof, the sort of opening that's breaking through the roof, and an orthogonal frame. So everything there has a kind of one-to-one relationship to the idea of a rock, one of the 6 collected.
How these slices give us maybe a glimpse of what's through, maybe what's inside, what comes through, almost like a shadow theater. It's still ambiguous what that surface is, how translucent it is. It could be almost 6 mystery boxes, right? You don't know quite which one you will enter. This project plays on that idea of random encounter, not quite revealing or expecting what's in there, but creating this theater of light and shadow.